I'm just gonna use these because they tie into my 3 to 5 days, and here's where they tie in. They wanna know that.
Okay, so my other question is gonna be, this curriculum is not like in order by any means, it's a different skill every single day.
Yep.
So the skills that are on the assessment that on any assessment might not be in my 3 to 5 day unit, but they're on the assessment. Is that going to?
You might wanna just give your own mini quiz
Okay,
and pick your own, just, you know, for your TPA part, just to have it.
okay.
It's probably easier than, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about for the actual curriculum, but I student taught on that too. Anyway, Kevin.
So I got 3 different teachers, right? I go from classroom to classroom. And in my 9th grade, I didn't start teaching until the last 2 weeks here now in the Civil War. And for our final, the way him and I worked it out is that section of the final is going to be Civil War I come up with.
Okay.
So did I just give them the section that I came up with, that the students are testing on?
Right,
Okay.
yeah, because this is the part that ties into your lessons. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't need to give them the whole thing. And you can tell them that, again, there's a commentary that goes with every one of these, you know, so tell me exactly what you just told me. Here's the part I came up with that goes with mine. You're good. So, Shelley?
The thing that I plan on doing is going to be a sun shadow mandala for character analysis.
Okay.
Should I use the blank charts as the blank assessment then?
Yeah, probably.
And then the final project
Well, okay.
as my final? Because
Right,
how am I
well-
going to show that these two are together?
Right, and that's, I didn't really explain this real well, so I'm glad you asked that. What they want to see is your rubric, you know, give them the blank thing, but they want to know, in the 3 part, they want to know what's your rubric for scoring it. So you can give them the blank chart here, but back over in 3, what they want to know is, you know, back to like maybe only for these 4 questions, tie into what my learning objectives were and how am I scoring that. So what gets a, you know, say they're each worth 5 points, what gets a 1, what gets a 3, what gets a 5, you know, so you have some kind of way of scoring. This is the math teacher in me that has partial credit for everything, right? But, you know, how are you doing that for your students? And so that rubric piece goes in 3, along with your 3 work samples. That's what they want to see. The whole class analysis part, what they're going to want to know is, okay, if I've got this rubric, what percentage of the students, say I've got 3 questions, that's all I have tied into it, and there's 3 levels, what percent of the class scored in each area? You know, 27% got a 1, and 54% got here, and the last, whatever percent that turns out to be, got a 3, or, you know, just where were my students? And then they're going to ask you to talk about what were the common errors you saw. Where were there, you know, the kids who didn't ace it, where were there likely the most frequent types of things that went wrong, okay? That's what they mean by an analysis of the whole class. So you're talking about that, you know, hey, they did really well in this part. On my quadratic formula, they kept dropping the negative. Here's the piece I had trouble with. What am I going to do about that is in your assessment commentary. How are you going to respond to that? How are you going to help fix that? So, that make it a little more sense?
I think
Hopefully? Okay. We're going to go through more, so you'll see more of this. Okay, so these are the rubrics I was talking about. They're in your TPA handbook. After each section, there are 5 rubrics. So once they go through all the things you need to do for task 1, you'll see the 5 rubrics. Same thing for task 2 for instruction, same 3 for task 3 assessment. Tied into these 3 tasks will be things on analyzing your teaching and academic language every time. Every one of them has a rubric related to those things. Okay? So those get kind of spiraled in all the way through. Okay? We'll talk more about them in a minute too. So, in the D2L content area, I've got a getting ready for Ed TPA, and the student teaching thing. Things that you need to do. Choose which class or content area you want to use. So if you're elementary or early childhood, you've got your choice of math or literacy. If you're high school, you're doing your content area, unless you happen to be a double major. I've got one of those, okay? Say you're Kevin, you've got these 3 different classes. You pick one. It doesn't have to be every geography class you have. That one class, that one 3 to 5 day unit. So not all of your sections, one, okay? So same thing if you're in, like, say, 6th grade social sciences. Pick one group.
Okay, but I'm in elementary and then I'm going to middle school. So I was going to do it literacy in elementary. Do I also have to do a 7th grade social studies because
No.
I'm going to a whole different?
No. And if you're elementary, your only choices are math and literacy.
Right,
So, and yet I have seen people do some good stuff with literacy in science or literacy in social studies. You can do that if you tie it in. you know, elementary has some great ways to do some theme-based work, so that works fine. But no, you just do one, even if you do have the 2 placements, and I would say do it in your K6 is generally,
Right.
you're there longer, it's easier to get it done, so, okay? Make plans for your video camera. Today we're being videotaped on one of the cameras we have from the office here. We've got lots of them. We've also got 40 student teachers out, and pre-student teaching is this semester. So, if you know when you want to videotape, you need to email Carol Bassett if you're going to use one of our cameras, and get on her schedule, because she times this very closely. Who's got which camera, when's it going out, when do they expect it back, so I know when the next person can have it, okay? You're free to, there's no cost or anything, you just need to take them out, you need to take good care of them, you need to bring them back, okay? Yes?
What if we're 2 hours away?
If there's a
Figure out
way to
something
get
else.
here and get it back and forth, we'll still do that. We can't ship them. There's just
Okay.
no way the Postal Service takes good care of them. Your schools quite often do have cameras. You know, they use them for their PLCs and other things too. So see if your school's got something. It is possible to do things on an iPad, stuff like that.
I was just gonna say, with my, one of my teachers has like an iPad, whatever.
Yeah.
She records me doing that, does that
Yep.
work just fine?
And what I would tell all of you is run some trial runs ahead of time. 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a whole lesson. Just make sure you know how to make it run. Can you hear the person? If you're elementary, I tell people all the time, if you're in the classroom with the amplifiers you wear around your neck, more common in elementary, even if you don't need it for that day, it's like having surround sound for the videotaping. It makes it much easier to pick up the sound. So if you can, have that. Otherwise, try to talk loud that day, because they need to be able to hear you as best they can. Make sure you know how to get the video off that camera. That's got to be my #1 issue with students. I have actually had people drive several hours and bring their camera down. And they got the camera and the video's on it, but they don't have the cord or whatever it takes to get it off the camera. And I don't either, folks. I don't have one for every camera that's out there. So make sure you know this ahead of time. You don't want to be to the point you got to get this submitted and now you can't get it off your camera. That's a bad day, okay? We scramble and we find a way, but can't guarantee it's going to work every time. So make
These-
sure you know how are you going to get it off, okay?
These have a little card in them.
These have an SD card. So then if your computer requires an SD card reader, there's a little doodad you get that the SD card goes into and it just plugs in with the flash drive. That's how it gets off and into there. These actually also, got the camera here, they have the cords provided. So if you're getting one of ours, we've got all the contraptions needed to do that. So you'll be fine. But like I said, you're using your iPad. Now, just do a 30-second video. How do I get that video where I need it? So big point I have to make here. The thing you cannot do, you cannot upload it to YouTube. Private, anything else, absolutely forbidden, okay? You have sent out this parent contract saying you're gonna really take care of this. Posting it online, even in a private site, is an absolute no-no. And so we have to protect the student's privacy. So it cannot be, I'll post it to YouTube and then grab the link. Works great for a flipped classroom, does not work for this, okay? So figure out, how do I get it out of there? What I would tell you, if it's an iPad, easiest way for me to get hold of that thing would be, I have a Dropbox account. It's free, it's an app you can put right on an iPad. You can upload it to Dropbox and pull it right back down again. That might be a way to do it, okay? Something that you can that's not posted out public, okay? So that's the biggest thing. Make sure you know how to get it off of there. Make plans for your assessment so you know how will you know what the students have learned. Like I said, it can be a really small thing. It does not have to be a whole full-blown test, but that needs to be determined ahead of time because that has to go in with your lesson plans. So that part goes with that. Hopefully, at this point, all of you have done the register your TPA. I'd sent you out instructions on how to do that and a code that showed that you'd already paid. Anybody have trouble with that? Had 1 or 2, did you get it figured out?
I
Or?
didn't get a code that said I had paid, but I have.
Oh,
I think it said, I got the email that said you sent the code, but I.
there wasn't a voucher number in there? There should have been. It was in the instructions and in the line as it went through where you had to enter it. It was right in that letter.
Okay.
If not, stay with me after the day today, we'll go get your code.
Okay.
Yeah, because you need to enter that. And then they send you an email back, and it has, I think it's called an authorization key. You're gonna need that when you upload your stuff to TPA. So make sure you hang on to that email